Okay.
Yeah, and I finally figured out something else. So
Yeah.
better sound quality comes when you actually switch the thing so it goes through the actual microphones to the video instead of through that thing. So I hadn't been doing that.
This is I did one other podcast. This is a lot more cool than that one.
Why was the other one?
Oh no, it was good. It was a lot more less techno stuff.
Yeah,
I'm just discussion pretty much.
yeah, this is just you could see we don't have show notes. It's like,
I know.
hey, we have questions and we just start asking.
When I work mainly at night, and they're my favorite.
Oh,
My absolute
keep you
favorite. I have
company?
there's about like 14 I follow pretty closely.
Really? Huh. I like to listen because when I drive or when I walk.
Notice he said not toasting the business now. It's not one of his favorites.
Okay, no, but that's okay. It may be his favorite when we get done.
Sorry.
So you mainly work at night because it's cooler.
This
Yeah.
time of year.
Yeah. Oh my God, this time of year.
Except workshops have to happen during the day, but
Yeah.
work happens at night.
Yeah, I noticed today a breeze kicked up and the humidity dropped. Did you notice that? Have you been outside much? No.
Humidity, yeah.
Yeah, that's key. Is that
Nice.
It is really nice. All right.
Headphones for you. You want them?
Sorry.
There's headphones if you want them.
Okay.
That way you can kind of hear yourself
Can you hear
a
me?
little bit better. Do I have to?
Megan did my video interview, and it was watching yourself on video for an extended period is kind
It
of a
is weird.
shocker.
Yeah.
It was hard to take for the first 4 or 5 minutes. Like, why is he drunk?
It's a lot
What
different
language is
than
that?
looking at yourself in the mirror, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, I learned something from it. Though.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you get to learn a little bit more. So you'll hear yourself talking.
Okay.
And if you get too quiet, like now.
You got to get your like almost kissing the
Okay,
microphone.
I'll scoot up.
There you
Got
go.
him.
Or you could be like me. I just kind of do this. I just lean it up on my stomach.
She's a lazy podcaster. She's just,
My back starts to hurt after a while.
You're a professional. I'm an amateur. I'll just
That's all right. As long as you keep it about this far away, you're always good.
Okay.
And you'll
Yeah.
hear yourself. That's why the headphones help. You're like, oh, wow. Now I sound like this when I'm talking. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And what we'll do is Darren's setting up the timers. We keep, we respect your time. So we keep it to an hour. And it'll be just like a natural closeout. You'll know it's kind of like the end of a
Okay.
conversation at a cocktail party.
well, you guys you run this, so you
Okay.
do it.
Any
It'll
questions?
happen when
Any
it
other
happens.
questions?
I'll just follow. Yeah.
You got any questions
Yep,
otherwise?
good.
if I get up,
Right on.
use the restroom, just
Yeah.
keep going.
That'll happen at least once. So
Okay,
if you see him
maybe.
get up, don't fret. It's Darren. His small bladder. Here we go. Let's get warmed up. Let's get warmed up. Let's insult Darren. Okay.
So you ready?
Well, I haven't
You
been
ready?
here in like what, 3 weeks?
Uh-huh. I
Yeah.
know.
So I kind
you're
of
getting
get
it all
more.
in?
Yeah, I'm getting it all in right
Is that
now.
what it is?
Yeah. Okay.
Watch this.
Okay.
Ready, set, do that. There you go.
Thanks.
And I'm going to push this button that has record.
Mhm.
Folks, welcome back to Toasting the Business. The way Lynn started out today, I don't know if I'm going to stick around for this whole episode.
I had a 3-week break.
Yeah,
right
there.
Yeah,
That's
back at you,
everybody.
baby.
Welcome to have you back in the studio.
I missed you.
I missed you too.
Oh, that's so
Got to
nice.
see you this past weekend.
Yeah, that was nice. Nice get together.
What you do is, I figured it out. So you feel like everybody, you invite a lot of people to a function, but if you don't want a lot of people to show up, do it the day after a special event because everybody's hungover.
Well, didn't a couple people that showed up to your house go, "Oh man, I tied one on last night.
I think so.
I can't drink. I can't. How about hair of the dog? Okay, I'll have one."
I'll have a little one.
Yeah.
And then a little
Mhm.
one turned into a little 2-1.
Yeah, and then it was back over. It was all back
It
over
was all
again.
good.
Yeah, it was
So
good.
those that didn't show up, too bad. You missed out on a good time.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about that.
No, we're not.
We're here to, let's start by talking about our sponsor.
You go ahead. You have the honors. This is a great thing
Because
that you did.
No, I can't talk about that one.
Oh, you
yet.
can't talk about that one. Okay,
No.
well, let's talk about.
the ink is not signed
Got
on the
it.
paperwork.
Okay, all right.
So we'll talk about our other sponsor who we've had for a while.
Yes.
And she's not here today because she's
Oh,
driving to go create a new video for people.
okay.
So if you're thinking about, you know what, I want to be an FBI hostage
Negotiator when I grow up.
negotiator,
Very specific.
you're going to be able to, Megan's probably like, oh, gave it away.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll be able to see a video like that. Or if you want to be a blacksmith,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to see a video like that.
Right.
And
That's awesome.
where do people go to see that stuff, Lynn?
They go to Get Perspective without an E, and it's a great website. It helps everyone and anyone navigate possibly a career change or selecting a career for the future.
Mhm.
What else does she have up there? She's interviewed a blacksmith. She's going to interview the hostage negotiator,
Mhm.
fighter pilot,
Fighter pilot,
mortician. You're on there. I know that. A tattoo artist. I saw that. Is coming.
a dentist.
A dentist. Okay.
I think she did no. What are they called? Skin doctor, not the
A
skin doctor.
dermatologist.
No. Plastic
surgeon. Ooh.
Plastic surgeon,
That would be
teacher,
interesting.
opera singer,
Oh, wow.
beekeeper, all kind. I mean, it's all
Yeah.
over the place.
Yeah.
And whether you have a college degree or not, it doesn't matter. All these people are there.
Yeah. It's great.
It's really cool.
Yeah. And even if you're an old person like me, I find it fascinating to
One
talk
day
to
she's
people,
supposed to
listen to people.
interview you too.
I don't have much to say.
Can't wait.
I'm crotchety. I don't have much to say anymore. I'm jaded. Jaded.
Anyway, if you're thinking about this or you know somebody who is, maybe it's your kids or an adult or a teenager, tell them to go to getperspective.com. That's getperspective without an E.com and check out the website.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
You ready to roll on?
I am ready to roll on because our next guest is actually here in the studio with us. He's local. And take it away. Go ahead.
He was on Get Perspective.
I
He's
know,
there.
yeah.
He's there. So if you're thinking about being a blacksmith,
Fascinating.
Michael Sebacher, right?
Correct.
Did I say it correctly?
You did.
Damn. Wow. Once in a blue moon, I get it right. So Michael is joining us in the studio, and I don't even know where to start. Let's start with, what did you do before you became a blacksmith?
Oh, I taught scuba diving.
Scuba diving.
In Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
My resume looks like it belongs to 6 different people.
Yeah.
I did pod engineering for Ford, scuba diving, drove a truck, migrant worker. I picked cherries. I worked on fishing boats. My grandfather's one of them, Northern California. I corporate training, professional students. A lot of stuff, yeah.
And how
Okay.
did you
Oh,
fall?
submarines. I was on submarines for a while.
You were doing what in subs?
Engineering, nuclear engineering.
Nuclear engineering.
Wait, whoa, hold on. You went from
See?
scuba
6
diving
different
to nuclear engineering and cherries in between.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
And
All right,
now-
we got a lot to unpack. And now you're a blacksmith.
Correct.
How long have you been a blacksmith?
In this capacity, working in metals in a studio, between 20, 22 years, something like that.
Okay. And the type of blacksmithing that you do, is it more artistic or is it like kind of necessary?
There's a lot of niches for that. So the
Yeah.
traditional blacksmithing is things like tool making or chain or nails or, household objects, candlestick holders and fireplace tools.
Mhm.
That's traditional blacksmithing.
Right.
So you can kind of, like an artisan blacksmith would do more work in different metals, steel, sculptural things. That's a whole thing, art expression. And then there's architectural things,
Mhm.
architecture accents, designing and building in the style and theme of whatever piece of structure you're adding to. I did that in Savannah for 12 years.
So it's like, hey, I want this really cool banister and done
Right.
in the spindly metal and this and that.
It's a
and the
great
other.
place for it. Yeah.
Except in Savannah, you can't just go throw in any kind of steel on your house because the review board has to see it. So that's kind of what my little niche was, to
Oh,
design, draw, and it would fit in the theme and ironwork and the period of the architecture. So then they would approve it.
okay. I knew in Savannah, the architectural board in those historic districts is very, very strict. We have a family friend who just bought a house down there and they want to gut their kitchen You can't just go in and gut your kitchen. They want to see what's going on in the inside of the house too.
You're right. It's strict, but I think the results are evident.
Yes, they are. It's beautiful there. So I'm sure you, in those 12 years you were there, you were in demand to create either restoration type of ironwork or something that spoke to that period of time.
Right.
Yeah.
And my understanding is during the Civil War, a lot of the ironworks were ripped off the houses because we had to make in the South and have the industrial resources the North did. So raw materials they had to use existing. So a lot of it was ripped off to make, bullets and cannonballs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Melt all that stuff down.
Yeah.
Yeah, good cannonball here and there. They're running out of supplies.
Right. So now you live here locally, pretty close to our podcast studio. And do you have a studio at your primary residence?
Right. I live on 60 acres family horse property.
Oh, nice.
We do horses, a couple of horse shows a year. My studio's there, and I built my house on the second floor of one of our barns.
Oh, wow.
So I live there, and my studio's on the 60 acres.
Nice.
Do you make the horseshoes as well?
No. People ask that. That's a farrier.
I was gonna say that's a farrier. Yeah, I learned about that a long time ago. Yeah.
Traditionally, the blacksmith did that too, but I got a feeling today's farriers are a lot more adept than yesterday's farriers. It's all, horse anatomy and hoof anatomy.
Yeah.
Let's make them do this. Let's make them do that. The ironwork portion of that is not huge. Mainly, it's a lot about horse foot health.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, to me, a farrier struck me as almost being like an orthodontist in a way, like, oh, we're going to move your teeth this way to look like that so you can eat better.
Instead of wearing hokas, the horses wear hoofkas. So a whole new running style of shoe.
Bad joke, if I ever heard one.
Just, you didn't even like that one? This is the king of dad jokes over here. We got Lynn's husband in the studio off camera. He gave me the, no, not a good one today.
So the type of blacksmithing that you do, what do you specialize in?
What my preference? I like the artistic sculptural stuff, and I only do like 3 or 4 commissions a year.
Okay,
that kind of pays bills.
Right.
Mainly, my focus now is 2 things. Number 1 is instruction. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I do workshops. I have 4 different workshops going on. Different aspect. Blade knife making. I'm rolling out a new one on the 13th. This coming Saturday, we're going to make an axe making workshop. And there's some cool blacksmithing processes necessary. Forge welding. If you know it, we won't go over it, but it's kind of cool process.
Do you have to fold the metal for an axe head as well? Do you do any metal folding at all?
So when you say folding, you're kind of like pattern welding.
Like when you're like making blades and stuff, and you have to fold the metal for that, or no?
In a way,
like I know what the hell I'm actually talking about. I'm like,
no, it's a great question. So folding, you're talking about like cut, fold, and then those 2 pieces of steel have to then become one homogeneous piece of steel again. So that's typically called forge welding. So whereas electric arc welding, you just join the steel along the edges. Forge welding is you take 2 separate pieces of steel and make them one. They're joined forever. That's the difference. So kind of yes is the answer.
All right. So I'm going to ask you a really stupid question. Do you have angry wives in that class on making axe heads?
Angry wives. I might be a good market though.
I might be.
I could like appeal to that side maybe. I don't know.
Right. How many are usually in a workshop roughly?
I kind of cap them off depending on the workshop. So the casting workshop we do, I get like 6 in, but usually it's 4 is max cap.
Right,
because of space, equipment, safety, and the experience. The more there's a lot of attention. Of course, safety issues are always a biggie. So eyes have to be on the work.
And keeping people from burning themselves or smashing their fingers.
That would be me. Yeah.
How many times?
I'm so thankful it's never happened.
Really? That's great. Okay, good.
That's good for safety.
It is for
Smaller
safety.
Class.
So you're doing the workshops and then you do about 4 commissions a year. What types of commissions do you do?
They're usually architecturally related. Exterior things that go on outside of houses or office buildings. Sometimes there's some corporate theme. Sometimes it's more free form. Sometimes I design. Sometimes they come to me with what they want to do.
Mhm.
Sometimes there's different metals involved, some stainless sometimes.
Right.
So it really depends.
Right.
I kind of get to do the stuff that I like to do. I don't have to do the icky stuff really
Okay.
that much anymore.
Okay.
What do you call icky?
Yeah. What's icky?
Icky is like 90-degree angles and squares and
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
Boring.
Very precise and very pedantic. Yeah.
the fun stuff. I also have the third thing I do is I have a nonprofit.
Oh,
which
interesting.
we never did our post-COVID recovery really, but it's still active, and this is part of my effort to do that. So is the workshops.
Mhm.
It's about a traditional art school. We're trying to start a traditional art school, meaning weaving clay, glass, wood, metals, jewelry, paper, all those things. There's really no place to go to learn, and we've been doing these things for 300,000 years, and there's no place to go to learn it.
I know.
So
yeah.
it's in our makeup. We're designed to do this. We're designed to create, and there's no place to go.
Yeah, especially down here on the south side of Atlanta. I mean, there's just no creative outlets along those
but
lines.
we have a big art group down here.
We do.
Got Face, and
Yeah.
they may know some people.
There's actually, I call it, to start this nonprofit, I wrote an article paper. It's like a general cattle call meeting of people who are interested in, maybe working on starting a traditional art school. And I had like 60 some people show up.
Really?
Many of them were artisans, weavers, quilters with natural interpretations. This area seems to have quite what seems to me to be more than average number are local within like 30 miles or so.
Really?
Which is really neat. It's a nice surprise.
That's great to hear. Yeah, I've lived in other communities across the United States, and it just seemed like access to that type of education and those types of artisans was much more accessible than it is here. And I don't know if I'm just not plugged in here the right way, or just
plugged into the right group.
Yeah, it
That's
might
probably
be.
what it
Yeah,
is.
it might
You
be.
know,
I don't know.
you're
I'm hanging out with
spending more
you. That's why.
And you're over there, Arbor, what's its face,
Yeah, I know.
for the cribbage tournaments and shit like that.
Yeah. Oh, down the street. Yeah. That's a whole other thing.
But they have, we were watching something on the news. There's a castle over in France, I think it is. And they're going back, they're redoing the entire thing, and they're doing it all.
I did see that.
Did you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about? Like they're using everything's coming out of the dirt for the clay, the wood that they're rebuilding. They're digging up all the rocks and the stones. And
Even the tools they're
building all
using
the
are the
tools,
tools from when that
everything.
castle was built.
The
So
original
you-
processes.
Yep.
That's commendable.
Yeah, that is. And it's taking them years though to do it.
Oh yeah.
But
It's like, yes,
nonetheless.
what did we accomplish this year? We accomplished 2 feet of this wall and ran it 20 yards. See? It's like-
yeah, exactly.
That's a good topic.
Yeah.
I don't think we give our ancestors nearly enough credit for, I mean, we look at these TV shows, they talk about kind of what you did about, this structure being built this way, and the stone being able to cut this accurately and moving this and the proportion and the settings and the things in line with latitude lines. Then to explain it, we have to invent aliens to do it.
Right.
Which is
right.
absolutely right. These
Yeah.
people are cutting stone for 80,000 years. They know what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Just because you can't figure it out with your cell phone,
Mm.
you're going to invent aliens to explain
Yeah.
Right.
the lost knowledge. And lost knowledge is a terrible thing. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I think we've lost more than we're going to have to all relearn it again someday, my opinion. But just to keep those little disappearing pockets of knowledge alive, which is another reason for a traditional art school to live.
Yes.
Things like bookbinding, things like canoe making, totem pole carving. I mean, it's a huge list.
Shoes. I heard shoes is another one.
Shoes
How to
is a
make
specialty.
shoes.
Within the blacksmith, so there's specialties for people who make lamps, right? All the fittings for a horses and carriages and bridle, that's a specialty. Locksmithing, gunsmithing. So there's a bunch of these little offshoots specializing in, these little pockets of knowledge. And I come across something every day. I think, why don't I know this? I should know this. And it's there's lifetimes of study there. I think it's awesome. Really.
It is. It
It's like
definitely
trying to
is.
teach somebody what a plumb bob is. They're like, what? Why would I use a plumb bob? And
Yeah.
it's like,
Many reasons why.
never mind.
Well,
So
let's
when
talk
you-
about cursive. I
Oh,
heard
we-
they're not
we
teaching that
I know.
anymore.
It's like secret code. We were
Mhm.
talking about that. You want to
Yeah.
screw with the millennials
Yeah.
and the younger generations, just writing cursive. They're screwed. They're like,
Yeah.
I don't.
I don't read.
What is this?
Yes, I know. It's not on my
Put it on
phone.
the computer. Can you interpret? Oh, AI's like, I
I can't read
have no
it.
clue.
Well, another skill, like not
speaking
artistic.
in Navajo back in the day with the code breakers.
Right.
way
Yeah.
back when,
But
you know?
not artistic is you want to learn to drive a 6-speed car? Huh? What? It's got a clutch? No, I'm not interested. I just want to push the button and put it in drive and go. Like, no, this is an essential life skill, and they don't want to learn that
Think
either.
about driving a horse and buggy.
Ew,
And it's like
I
you
wouldn't know.
have a brake on that. You better put the brake on.
I
Otherwise,
wouldn't
the
know.
horse is gonna start walking down the street
Yeah.
with come out in your buggy. He's like, oh shit, where
There we go. It got buggy jacked.
Hey, did you happen to see a buggy? What was it like? Well, it was one with a Surrey with a fringe on top. Okay, never mind.
Oh, another bad dad joke.
Anyway,
But I mean, how cool that you're running your own business. And this is what I think when I own my own business, the greatest thing is like, I don't have to do that if I don't want to do it. And I'm not going to do it because I don't like the product. I don't like the person's attitude. I don't resonate with that person, but you can say, I'm only going to do 4 commissions a year. And it's going to be what I want to do.
Right.
And you have that latitude to do that, which I think is so key as a business owner.
That's just good fortune and a lot of practice and a lot of mistakes. That's what gets you there. But currently, you just mentioned essential life skills, which is what traditional arts is about. I mean, we've been making our own clothing, food, shelter, tools, weapons for 300,000 years. We've been doing this, right? Now we do not.
Right.
And that's just happened over the past, say, 3 to 5 generations. We don't make stuff. We are wired to do that. I mean, physiologically, mentally, muscle tone, neural networks. We're wired to make stuff. You take an image in your brain, manifest it with hands. It doesn't matter. Cupcakes, origami, doesn't matter.
Right.
Steel. We're supposed to do that. That's when we lose track of time.
Yep.
When you do that, there's a part of every project where it sucks. Oh, I want to do that, right? Oh, that looks fun. I want to do that. So you get into it, and you go a little deeper, and then, oh, this is harder than I thought. And then you go a little deeper, and there's, oh, this is.
Yep. Thought it was my
not
phone.
me.
No, I've been known to
Technology.
put I've been put my phone on alarm too.
This,
It's okay.
yeah, this is awful. This is harder than I thought. Why'd I ever try this? And at the bottom, I suck. This sucks. Why'd I ever get into this? But the key part is you don't stop, right?
Yeah.
You keep cowboying up.
Mm-hmm.
People will help you. You look up resources, you'll solve obstacles, and pretty soon you get out the top and you stand back, it's finished, and it's beautiful, makes you smile, right? But that feeling, people don't get.
Yeah.
Because if it's not prepackaged or single serving, or if there's not a roadmap to it, they're not interested. The things where you have to take out your machete and hack your way through are not. Something happened where well, if there's a problem or if you feel bad, if it's wrong, then you're not doing it right. That's so wrong. If you're not making mistakes and throwing things and you're frustrated, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Agreed.
I was building a bookcase for somebody, a TV stand or entertainment center, and I got partway through it, and I went, "Oh, where was my brain the other day?
It was upside down or something.
This was already. This was no. It was off by a little too much, and I knew where the marking. I had drawn where the line was, where it was supposed to mark, but I still went ahead and glued and screwed this thing.
Little bourbon action going when you were doing this.
Can't say that
Okay.
or
All
not.
right. Okay. Yeah.
But I was a little frustrated.
Yeah, I bet.
And had to rip it all apart and start over again. And when you're trying to salvage oak, which is not cheap, and,
No.
and for the customer, they're not paying for it. I can't go to the customer and go, "Oh yeah, by the way, I just wasted $400 worth of oak. Could you pay me because of my mistake?" It's
Right.
like,
What do you
no, I'm
do?
the guy who's supposed to know how to do it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I felt great in the end. And they
I
were
bet it
thrilled.
did. I bet it did. I mean, I know like the type of job that I do, I'm behind a computer all day long. I am in marketing and product management. I'm dealing with people, managing laterally, managing down, managing up, solving problems all day. At any given time, and my husband can attest, I'm either self-teaching myself watercolor because it's requiring a different part of my brain, and my brain turns off in a certain way that's relaxing. And then the other day I was channeling my grandmother, who was a home ec teacher, and I made myself a dress on Sunday. I made myself a dress and a couple other things, but it's that tactile,
So
right?
you see how it's in you then.
Yeah.
I mean, so that that's not an accident. That's a need.
And that's what it was. It's relaxing for me.
You get lost in it. And, some of that evidence is, so you take, some 5, 6, 7-year-old kids, 5 or 6 of them, and you leave them in a room for 3 hours. You come back and, you've got couch cushion forts, and you've got sheets, and they're, hand prints on the wall, and they're making like snow angels and flour on the kitchen floor. They're creating stuff. That's what they do. Yeah. That's what we do. And at some point it gets beat out of them because it is a bit messy.
Yeah.
But it's also, at some point it's like, okay, what are the real life applications? You got to earn a living. And then the statement I hate, oh, you have to get a job. No, you don't have to get a job. You have to have an income. Totally different thing. Totally different thing.
That's a good point. Yeah. You have an income source versus a job. Yeah.
And you mentioned getting lost in what you're doing and the whole tactile thing. That's more evidence to me that this is what we're supposed to do.
Right.
If more people spent more, we're mammals, right? We're not that special. Just another mammal on the planet. Homo sapien, mammals specialize.
But we got thumbs.
Yeah, we got thumbs there, and I can open pop cans. Yeah.
Press the delete. Yeah. But like, say a specialized mammal, say a cheetah is a good example. Respiration, eyesight, coloration. It's designed to do what it does, live where it lives, right? Everything about the design of that animal is chasing and eating gazelle. That's what it does. So if you took that animal and you didn't let it do what it's designed to do, you've got a very unhappy animal. Right. Longevity, disease, psychological problems. That's kind of what's going on here. We're not doing what we're designed to do.
Right. Yeah.
How long did it take you to figure that out? And you said you've been doing, do you call it blacksmithing or more metalworking? Which would you say?
Either or, doesn't matter.
But you've been doing it for 20-something years. And like, what led you into that? Did you know somebody else who was doing it? Did you go to a class like you offer one day and you say, you know what, I feel like smashing some metal, or I want to make something really sharp so I can
get somebody who needs it.
Right.
Or I need a new lock for my door. What is it?
What led you?
That's a great question. So you're like a little pivotal event. So probably I bought an old house in Savannah, built 1896, huge, 3,200 square feet. And I spent 2.5 years going through it. Plumbing, walls, ceiling, kitchen. I put 2 archways in and some interior stuff. And but at the very end, I wanted like one of those cool little hairpin fences.
Yes, I love those.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, go try to buy one somewhere. You can't.
Yeah.
Right. Unless you go to, you get it made in Pakistan and they ship it over in pieces for, $84 a foot or something. But so I made one. I made it. This is all the engineering. I was working for Gulfstream at the time teaching. But that was probably the pivotal event. And then Savannah, as you mentioned, it being rich, very rich in its ornamental ironwork, long rich history there, and it's just everywhere. So it just kind of. So then
you just buy a forge and start doing it in your backyard.
Kinda.
No, seriously,
I got a $300 welder at Home Depot, and I made that hairpin fence. And then I rented studio space, and I started teaching part-time for the Army. I quit Gulfstream, did part-time for the Army, and but I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew people who did, and my ignorance saved me because people will help you. If they see, he's determined and he's going to hurt himself if I don't help him.
And I'll feel so bad if I go home and he hurts himself.
Right.
So weld his glove to that fence one more time.
Exactly. But people will help. And resources in Savannah. There's Johnny Boyd Smith. He's a bronze artist. He helped me tremendously. And you learn from other people. You learn just mainly the biggest way to learn is by screwing up, right? Over and over and over. And, try this. And that's another thing we don't teach. Mistakes are not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Mistakes are a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best, pain is another good teacher.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that.
As
Like,
yeah.
my first thought was, oh, we're interviewing a blacksmith today.
Wonder how many fingers he has.
That and how many times you've burned yourself and how many times you've smashed your fingers.
So
You still have all 5,
yeah.
10 fingers.
Well, I only have a total of 8 fingernails. Actually.
Okay. Yeah. And when we got started here, you mentioned that you work at night.
Right.
Because here in this climate, it's much cooler at night to be working.
And quite honestly, it is a preference. It's much easier to focus at night. So you don't hear the world. The world turns off, and you can zone in what you're doing. And there's no phone calls, and there's no. Which, and the bad side is when the day comes, you're tired, and when everybody else is working, they expect you to be there. So it's a trade-off.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. So, all right, you got started in Savannah. You made, you called it a hairpin fence.
Yeah, I'm sure it has a name.
Those little hairpin I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So you took off with that. Did you set up a forge at your home in Savannah, or did you just go into studio?
No, I just
okay.
Space.
So that's was your community. That was your introduction into the community. Yeah.
The community of metal stuff.
Metal people. Yeah. Metal people. Yeah.
And people help you. They say, this idiot he needs help. He doesn't know what he's doing. And you do your own research. Like I said, and you make mistakes. My background's engineering. So, not all of it was new to me. I knew, I knew metal qualities and about steel and, bending and welding and all that. I had never done any of it, but I figured, hey, I can do it.
Sure.
Theory to application.
Yeah.
Right.
And bravery. Some people say, well, I have all this knowledge, but they're not brave enough to say, I'm going to implement it and try something
like cooking.
new.
I don't know if I'd call it bravery. I think it's like obsessive compulsive. I think that's a better quality, because you're talking about getting hurt. And once a week, I have to learn the same lesson. This is not a good pool to test temperatures with. I get to every once a week. I learn that over and over again.
Okay.
So there's a bit. You have to be to do this at this. The obstacles are the place to do it's equipment intensive. The knowledge is rare. A lot of mistakes. There's no path written out. So you kind of have like a little bit of obsessive personality.
Sure. So you parlayed the obsessive personality into a business here in just south of Atlanta.
What a gracious way to put it.
Yeah. Well, I think we all do that. Like, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but here I am, and I've learned along the way, and I'm still learning.
Ignorance is an ally, isn't it?
It kind of is, because you go like, I don't know.
You don't know what can go wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna admit it. I don't know what could go wrong. Yeah.
Why do I have that table saw? And you start doing things a certain way until that, like the first time that wood bucks on you, you're like, oh, that's why I'm supposed to use those in the hold. Or it just grabs it and it goes across the room, and you're like,
across the room.
Oh, now I get to learn drywall today.
Well, or you, like I almost did the other day, sewed my thumb over. With the needle, I had my thumb too close to the needle
on the sewing machine.
On the sewing machine, it's like, hold on, that would have really hurt. But you've parlayed it into a business, and so you're telling us that you have all this very diverse experience, and based on all of your life experiences, do you feel like that helped you start?
It coalesced totally. Everything coalesced. Nothing. You look backwards and nothing happens. I mentioned some of the things I do, and that you can't get any more different. And that's because I love to learn. Number one, love to learn, and once I stop learning something, or once I figure, I know everything I want to know about this, I'm bored and I have to move on. And then there's another bunny, I go chase that one.
Right.
The proof is in my resume. So, it's just a constant series of, the coalescing thing.
Yeah. To the business.
So art. Okay. I don't want to give you the impression that I'm any sort of business person. I am not. I hope I'm not here because I have you think I have business acumen. I do not. That is not in my.
But you're running a business.
I'm running a business.
And that's key.
I have a huge advantage in that I don't have any competition. and
well, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's
right. It's and I the instruction of the school is what I love. Of course, anything like artistic endeavors, you don't do pottery because you love pots. You don't, weave because you like, well, you like the process of doing it, right? Yeah, that's necessary.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it, though. I mean, that, and I get it. And like you said, the good thing is you can take your passion, what you're doing now, and you've given yourself an income to help you with it.
That is so key. What you said,
Yeah.
finding your passion. So,
Mhm.
so I think what you're getting at is all this diverse experiences,
Yeah.
and then, so what makes this what I'm doing now? Is that a result of all that? I would answer
Exactly.
absolutely yes.
Yeah.
You might be on a search for something, but not that it might even be a conscious search,
Mhm.
but intuition is a powerful thing.
Mhm.
And I don't think we listen to it as often as
I
we
agree.
should. The teaching and dealing with people, in diving, you're teaching people, it's intimidating experience. And so
Right.
you're kind of making them comfortable with the thing, giving them confidence in their abilities, and convincing they know what they're doing. And this is really not much different. When we're taking a railroad spike and we're making kind of a very attractive knife out of it, right? So a railroad spike is not an attractive item. They're common. And you spend 4 or 6 hours, and with heat and pressure, you make this beautiful, useful object out of it.
Mhm.
And then at the end of the workshop, I lay the ugly railroad spike next to the finished knife,
Right.
and I say, look what you did.
Right. Yeah.
It's a powerful thing, right?
It very much is.
We're
yeah.
all about our things, manipulating our things. We always have been. And so that, and you kind of like sideways look at their face, and it's not restricted to young people.
Mhm.
You said this void of creative opportunity.
Right.
The largest one is for like college age plus crowd.
Mhm.
That's where the void of creative opportunity is.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are the people who they spent their life in the job, being a responsible citizen or whatever. Yeah, I'm not that, but
Well, it's like
I've read about how that is. And
On Wednesdays, maybe you are on Wednesdays.
morning.
Morning.
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
I had a friend who was he was a glass blower. That was his thing. But and that's what he enjoyed to do. His day job was he was a computer programmer.
Oh, okay.
But
That's a great example.
when you got him in the
talk about
studio,
yin
and he
yang.
loved it, and he sold that stuff, but he did it at a minute scale, like miniatures. So, and I think I was telling Lundy the other day, I'm like, I think my parents probably still have, my dad, I hope still has the Christmas ornaments that he had made.
Oh, neat.
And he used to be like, yeah, you can drop this on the floor, don't smash it, but if it falls, it was that strong, but it was so dainty and delicate. And Wayne was like 6'5". I mean, even his dogs were big. He had 2 Newfoundlands. One was 185 pound
Oh my gosh.
dog named Mouse, and then Flower, she was 125. But he's like, okay, you're going to come over and you're going to help me. So bring the beer, and
of course
we're going to enjoy that. But you would get to sit there and help. And it's like, this glass blowing is so delicate and so gentle, and even the small figure, everything that he would do. And it's like watching it flow and move. And we were watching a glass blower this weekend. And he said, when you're shaping glass, it's like you're working with honey. That's kind of how that's like the density of it. So you're rolling it and smoothing it. But the way he would do it, and he'd put these little intricate dots across, and then you're like, and then twist it here and snip it and clip this off and smooth it. And you're like, what the?
It just happened. Yeah.
You're saying it was fascinating to watch.
It was.
Right. So
it was
mesmerizing.
And so you were helping. So you think, watching it and then doing it. And you mentioned glass, the Chihuly glass.
Oh, so beautiful.
Those but watching them make it, it's like a stadium.
Mm-hmm.
They have an actual like bench seats where they actually charge people to go in and watch. It's so fascinating to watch.
This was another guy that we saw on the news this weekend who saw Chihuly as well, and he does big pieces. But I think he took everything over to Europe. We were talking about all his kilns. He moved over to Europe or whatever, and he's doing it there. Same thing. It's just like, I could be wrong, but it was on CBS Saturday morning news.
I love that show.
And it was fascinating at the way they do their stuff.
So some things are more fun to watch. I think probably an example of something like I love weaving, but I can't imagine it being fun to watch.
Weaving,
Weaving.
yeah,
And Lumen shuttle, I mean, it's a very gradual process, but things where there's sparks and fire and bright, glass blowing, as you mentioned, one of them, hitting hot steel and sparks flying. And that's another thing. People are just mesmerized by it. And, it's fun to watch. It gets very active, very energy intensive. So, it gets probably more than its fair share of press.
Do you get, when people are coming in there, for lack of a better term, and you might call it tamping or whatever, but smashing, pounding on the metal, and you say you wanted to do a class with a group of seniors who may not have the strength, you have the machines to help them hammer.
It's a matter of technique. So when you're probably getting at, I say blacksmith, you're saying some hairy, big, sweaty guy in a leather apron, with
Not
no
really.
hair, like
Middle ages,
sweat, making sparks with big hammers and bulging muscles. That's what we think. I'm not gonna lie, there is some of that, but there is a lot more finesse to it than people think, and there are ways to blacksmith is probably one of the only places left where you use a hammer as extensively as we do. Carpenters don't use hammers. Nobody really uses a hammer anymore.
Yeah.
But there are ways to use a hammer that don't induce fatigue or induce fatigue more slowly, like striking angles. And I mean, there's as you wade out in that pool of knowledge, you think, you kind of intuitively know, but there's ways to anyone. I have a class of 11-year-old girls on, I think the 30th, and they do it.
Are they Girl Scouts?
Yes.
I knew it.
They're Girl Scouts.
I was a Girl Scout. That's why I said.
I have the
Is there a badge for this?
There probably is. That's probably why they're doing it. Yeah. You know what? They're going to be great. It's going to be fun.
It's not my first group.
Okay. Good.
I had I guess there were 11, 12. I think there was 6 of them. 6 12-year-old girls and 6 12-year-old girl dads in the studio. And of course, it's on a horse farm, and there's dogs around and there's horses around. Yeah. So the little girls lasted maybe an hour and a half, and then they're out digging the horses and the dogs. Me and the dads finished up, but
right.
Yeah,
but more fun almost.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, you go ahead.
Then the girls go home and go, "Look, Mom, look at what I made."
Right,
the dads are like,
Well, to be fair, some of them did stick with it because they really the process appealed to them. So
yeah. Cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So we were watching over the weekend. It was Mike Rowe. He was talking
he's a
to,
great little guy.
yeah, he was talking to a blacksmith, and it was a father and a son. The father is probably in his mid to late 60s. The son was taking over the business. They showed a wall of hammers, all different sizes, weights, lengths. Do you have that? Like
Obsessive
multiple?
compulsive.
It's not just one. It's just not one hammer. How many do you have?
You cannot have too many hammers.
Okay.
That's not possible. Limited by your available space.
Okay.
Another thing too, like you mentioned, is tongs. Different tongs.
Okay.
So tongs are the opposite of a Swiss Army knife. They're designed to do one thing, and they do it well.
Okay.
Hold a certain size piece of stock at a certain orientation, so you can access it to shape it. If I was not such a lazy blacksmith, I would have more tongs. But what I tend to do is take an existing set, modify it for whatever current application I need, and stick it back in the rack. Yeah. But that's not the proper way. They're kind of a pain in the butt to make. So
that was be my next question: is do you make the tongs? Do you get on Amazon and order the tongs? Like I don't know.
That's a great question. Yeah. What a great opportunity for me to lie.
Quickly now.
Yeah, quickly now. Let's give a truthful answer. So probably maybe a third of the tongs I have currently, I made.
Oh wow! Okay.
So and the balance are partially made and repaired and welded onto, and that's kind of where they come from.
And they're well loved.
Yeah, they're well loved, and they're not a if you're making something, a set of tongs, it's because you need it right there for that project. So you're going to do it quickly, which means they're probably not going to be pretty.
Okay. Okay.
But they're going to be functional, but they're not going to be, oh, look at the angles, and oh, that has a nice OG curve in it.
Right.
No, these are going to be like blocks of hacked off steel that aren't very powerful, functional, but not.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of steel, like, what kind of metals do you work with?
Many. Steel metallurgy is. I'm going to try to have to limit myself on this. It's one of my things I don't talk about. Well, steel. Most like building structural steel, low carbon steel, very common, and it has to do with, of course, the amount of carbon in it. but there's if you well, first of all, iron and steel. The difference between iron and steel is
The malleability.
carbon.
Carbon.
Iron is elemental. Iron comes from iron ore. And then we add carbon to it, usually for the heat source, either coal or charcoal, whatever that heat source is, and the carbon infuses itself into the iron, and you beat it, and then you have steel. Though there is a naturally occurring form of steel, which is iron plus carbon, right? There's heat involved. Let's see if you can guess what it is, where it
Iron
comes from.
plus carbon.
And there's heat involved.
Oh man, I'm at the Rolodex back to the 1980s, like my
down.
physics class.
Go through the first layer that
Of
goes
the
through the
earth.
crust.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Coal. No. I don't know.
Go down to the mantle.
The mantle.
The mantle.
The mantle.
He's saying
Oh.
volcanoes, I think.
Volcanoes.
That-
Well,
which-
it comes up
which-
from the mantle.
yeah.
The lava.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
so that's
that's
no.
totally wrong. No,
Okay.
it's
I don't
not-
know.
it's
Tell
not
us.
volcanoes.
I don't want to bore everybody
That
with
was-
going down
lack
as
of
the-
knowledge.
that was great attention. That's what a lot of people say. Meteorites.
Oh, okay.
Not
Yeah.
all meteorites, 5 to 7% have enough iron in them,
Okay.
and they absorb enough carbon through the heat. The atmosphere,
When they're
they
coming
impact the
through.
earth and fragment, right? And they're rare. I mean, and our ancestors found these, and it's amazing steel ever got invented. I mean,
They use
the
the
first-
meteorites to.
right. So you can. It's called meteoric iron. What it's called now. They make
Oh.
artifacts and some jewelry out of it now. You know, it's kind of a fluffy thing, but I mean, if you look at it from the point of view of the people who started doing this, truly a gift from the gods, right?
Mhm.
Comes down from the sky.
Yeah.
I mean, more rare than gold.
Right.
And more valuable because you can feed your family and defend yourself with it.
Right.
Right. So really a prized substance.
Interesting. Have you ever forged anything out of the
Meteoric iron? I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever seen meteoric iron
Okay.
before,
Okay. right.
unless it's, on a jewelry page.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's Egyptian artifacts and things like that.
So
Really?
besides
Okay.
iron, steel, do you work with coppers, bronzes, any precious
different
metals?
Knife making, you kind of get into like bolsters and pommels. So I have a workshop that we do some casting, sand casting. So we'll melt and cast our own
Mhm.
bronze and aluminum and brass. We don't
Interesting.
get hot enough for steel, though I can
Okay.
melt steel.
Yeah.
I've done it accidentally many times.
Accidentally.
Yeah.
On purpose.
No,
Accidentally on purpose.
accidentally. So we have a propane forge. A propane forge is our
Okay.
primary, but to do it's just a coal forge gets much hotter.
Okay.
The forge
That-
welding we're talking about, that's only possible in a coal forge. That's not true. People build very efficient propane forges. They can probably forge weld in.
Mhm.
My studio, I can only do it in a coal forge.
Mhm.
And if you're not careful, you can melt steel in about 12 seconds.
Really?
Yeah, it's
That's hot.
Okay. That was going to be my next question is what do you use as a heat source? You use both propane
right.
and
Propane's easy.
Okay.
Propane, turn it on, put the steel in and walk away. You're
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Coal forge is a totally different animal. You have to manage the fire.
Mhm.
You have to manage the consumption. There's an oxidizing layer, reducing layer.
Mm.
You have to manage the shape of it depending on what you're heating. So and it's really managing a coal forge is a little art into itself.
Wow.
Propane forge is much easier.
You cook a pizza while you're at it in that
yeah.
oven? Just
I
throw
have
it in there.
I
It
have
takes about
I have
18
a panini grill I
seconds.
put on top of my coal forge. I'm
I was
just
going to
kidding.
say, you might as
Yeah,
well
it'd be
get
good,
two
yeah.
things out of it.
I
Because I
know.
know like a pizza oven, the ones that they use, the brick ovens,
Yeah.
run about 900 degrees,
Right.
which is hot.
Those are good
But
pizzas
it's not
too.
as
Yeah.
it's still not hot enough to. We were watching an episode of some murder TV show, and there was a thing where they killed the guy in the kiln or put him in the kiln, I guess, to dispose of the body.
Ugh.
But it was his gold watch was still there. So of course, if you Google, like pull up what Linda and I search
Uh-huh.
from watching shows, probably you're the same way. It's like,
We
what the
are,
hell?
yeah.
Are you trying to kill people or do whatever? But it was like, what temperature does a body actually
Burn up, yeah.
up versus what temperature does gold melt?
Okay.
And so the difference was like 1800 degrees. I don't know what it was. But anyway,
So do
how
you,
hot do you guys
yeah,
cook?
how hot do your
Well,
forges
steel
get?
melts at like 2450.
Okay.
So my propane forge probably gets about 2200.
Oh my
And it's a
God.
forced air propane forge. I built it.
Okay.
All right, I'm sweating.
Coal
already.
forge,
I
coal
am
forge,
too.
I probably approaches 3000 degrees. I'm just pulling that out
Holy
there. I think it
cats.
approaches 3000 degrees. But
3,000.
when it gets, and it kind of, you can, in a coal forge, you can use, coal, raw coal, which is it kind of makes a lot of smoke and it takes
Yeah,
a
it
while to generate
stinks.
heat, or you can use coke, which is a refined form of coal,
Yep.
which lights easier and there's less mass and less, I don't want to say it's healthier, but there's less
Burns
nasty
cleaner.
green smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably cleaner. And it's a little easier to manage. So when we do the coal forge, we use coke to do it.
So I grew up basically in kind of Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. That's where my root family is.
A lot of coking plants there.
Yeah. And my grandparents had a house in a steel mill town, and literally we could see the roof of the steel mill from their house. They were up the mountain. So I'm kind of familiar with the coal and the coke. So we're not in that kind of environment here.
No.
So how do you just get it delivered to you? Do you go pick it up somewhere? Like, how does this work?
Birmingham.
It's
Birmingham?
No, I sent for it. And I just bought some. I think it was like $75 for the coke and like 30 some bucks for the shipping.
Really?
And I believe it was in Pennsylvania.
And how much do you get? Like, how many pounds?
That was
do you
50
get?
pounds.
50 pounds. That doesn't seem so bad. Really?
And 50 pounds will last me, like as far as sessions, and it might last me a dozen or so 4-hour sessions.
Okay. And then how do you ignite it? What's the ignition source?
Well, other fire. Okay. Yeah. So
I mean, do you just get the Zippo lighter out, and go it lights, or
no,
how
he
does
does it
work?
traditionally. Uses a flint.
Do you
see? So this is one of those blacksmith things where, how do you light your forge? And I get a piece of steel and I beat it on the anvil till it's red hot, and I stick it in the coals. No, you don't.
Yeah, he uses a propane torch lighter.
Right. So it's considered bad form to use a what do we call it? What do they call it when they start fires? Like
ignite.
Yeah, like in other words, like lighter fluid or gasoline
kerosene,
or alcohol.
Yeah.
So it's
an accelerant.
An accelerant. That's it.
Yeah.
It's considered bad form. So
look the other way, kids.
Yeah. How about that fire? So what I do is I make like this new little. We have horses, so we have wood shavings. I use newspaper and I wrap a burrito. The burrito has it a bit like coal dust. It has some wax in it from a candle, and it has some wood shavings. And then you put that little burrito in the fire pot. You get that going with the air, and it gets hot enough. Then you slowly add coal to that. But denatured alcohol is much faster. So I've heard.
And then so how long does it take to get the coal up to 3,000 degrees?
Not long.
Really?
Some of it has to do with the geometry, because I mean the air is the crucial component.
Sure.
Right. So the airflow, that's what makes that's what makes it possible to even ignite and get that. What was the question? How long does it take?
Yeah. How long does it take to get it up to that?
Let's let me, maybe 12, 16 minutes.
Are you serious? It takes only that short amount of time to get it up to
that. It takes me
that.
longer to light a fire in my fireplace and get it going.
What you have, the advantage you have is a blower. And the forge has a blower in it.
Okay.
So you have almost as much air as fast as you want. You can add to it.
Not using the traditional billows and the pump and bilge pump and all that.
The 10-year-old blacksmithing apprentice, jumping on the bellows.
Yeah.
No,
and the Renaissance music playing in the
Yeah,
background.
we don't have that.
The maiden comes out and gives you your mead and your blacksmithing.
I'll take that part.
Of course you will.
Give me the mead.
Give me the mead. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Like the house I grew up in had a coal bin that we turned into a storage area in our basement, and you could still see the coal chute out there. And
that was the heat source.
It was the heat source, and I just obviously we didn't grow up that way, but I just never.
So you can use coal. You can use coal to heat a house, but the coking plants were much more popular because, like I said, it's much cleaner.
Yeah,
and less people die of asphyxiation.
Right.
Is that a version of the pellets that they now use? And like get rid of your wood burning stove and get a pellet stove.
I thought they were still pellets.
Or is that the same thing?
I thought the pellets were still wood. Yeah.
Are they?
I don't know.
They're that's a good point. I mean, there is an ideal size, like it should be like gravel sized. If you go to buy a bag of coal,
okay,
go to buy a bag of coal, and you might be 50 pounds of coal, but most of them are the size of your fist. So it takes,
Okay.
there's I don't know how other people do it, but I had to make this kind of hamper thing and like you have to crush your coal. It was a big pain, but you pay a little more money, you get gravel sized coal.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, gravel sized coke. You're farther ahead.
For real though, I'm not being facetious. How's this delivered? UPS, FedEx,
Comes in a box, 50-pound box.
Via like just
Yep.
regular shipping service or
Yep.
whatever. Not US Postal because we cannot trust that right now. At least around here because we got issues.
No,
like big issues.
Yeah, I don't know. What service did it? I don't know.
Okay, just showed up.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And they're
Interesting.
blacksmithing, of course, supply places that sell it.
Sure. Are there blacksmithing supply places
Oh.
around the Atlanta area that you're aware of? Are you it?
Oh, I'm not a supply place, but that's a great question. Anything I get, I usually have to send out of state for. So I think, and I would probably know by now. So not that I'm aware of.
Right, right. Are there, so for listeners, we're in North Georgia because, should I say it?
I don't know. We're in North Georgia.
If it wasn't for Atlanta, we'd be Alabama.
Why not?
Anyway, so
Why not?
we're in North Georgia, northern part of Georgia. Are there other blacksmiths in the
Yes.
area that you
Yes.
connect with?
Absolutely, absolutely. The main one I'm with, in fact, they did an article, some magazine did an article on me, and a couple of days after the article came out, I got a call and it's this guy and he's on the phone. He's, I'm always been curious about blacksmithing and can I come see? And so he comes out and I give him this 45 minutes. I go through everything about the instruction and this and this, and then he's getting ready to leave and he said, I was kind of stonewalling you. No, sandbagging you. I was kind of sandbagging you. I've been doing this for like 45 years. And I recognize his name because in one of my books, he has work in the back of one of my books. And if I thought about it a little more, I would have recognized the name. I'm like, what a jerk.
Yeah.
He's still a wonderful friend.
Is he?
He's an awesome man.
Good.
But that was my introduction. And, guys who work in steel, for whatever reason, tend to be a little crusty. I don't know why.
A little too much
A
heat,
little
maybe.
crusty,
Yeah.
little-
Right up your alley, Lynn. You ought to get going in that. You said it at the beginning of the
Spicy,
podcast.
a little
yeah.
spicy, getting around the heat too much,
It's
beating
just a
on
little-
stuff. Yeah. So you also wrote a book.
Did I?
Books. Did you just say that?
No.
A
We
book
said
or
in the
you
back of-
read
I mean,
a
I
book?
am. I've got two
okay.
of them kind of under my,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dang.
I was going to say, my God, has she been on my computer? How'd she know that?
I have
No.
eyes in the back of my head.
I do have two I'm doing.
Good for you. That's excellent. I'm
Mhm.
not surprised based on your
There's a lot to know.
propensity to do things.
There's a lot.
The life and times of Michael.
I know.
Well, mastery is the topic. So mastery,
Mhm.
you go out, you go on this road to achieve mastery of anything. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter, origami doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
The learning is tough, right? So it's not an easy undertaking. So
Mhm.
there's some suffering involved, right? So there's some adversity, there's obstacles to overcome in order
Sure.
to get this knowledge. Knowledge is earned through this, intense exchange of time and mental pain and anguish for the knowledge you're getting.
Yeah.
And it's always been that way. And so the pursuit of mastery, what you get mainly is not, learning about origami or learning about the stars. What you get mainly
Mhm.
is the experience of suffering for something you love and, overcoming obstacles and learning how resourceful you can be and learning your capacity and learning, it's a huge self journey. It's not about, so that pursuit of mastery is important just because of that, not because, you're a great potter when you get done. It's not about that. It's about, you're a much better person when you get done.
Mhm. Mhm.
And all this knowledge passed down through all these generations and generations. One of the reasons I like to teach is to pay those people back. I didn't invent any of these things.
Right.
The animal hand, I didn't invent that.
Yeah.
But I use it.
Mhm.
And those people who did invent it, because I do it, I can say that wasn't easy. Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like a payback thing.
It is, and when you
And that's part of mastery. Once
Yeah.
you achieve a level, you kind of have a responsibility because you didn't invent this. You're drawing from a pool of knowledge and you have to give back to the pool of knowledge.
do you feel humbled by that sometimes?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Every time I feel ignorant every day. I learned something like, why don't I know about this? Why don't I know about this? Which has taught me that if you're in a room full of people who do the same thing, the quiet ones usually know the most.
But not necessarily.
They've learned to be quiet.
And that's what they've learned.
Listening
Yeah,
is
they've
important.
They've learned enough to know what they don't know.
Yeah.
How much they have yet to learn.
Yes.
That's what they know.
Right.
So
right.
it is humbling. That's a good question. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm a registered yoga instructor, and when I was teaching, I haven't taught in a while, but when I was teaching, I was humbled every day when I taught, because I'm like looking at these bodies in front of me, and that's what they're humans. They have bodies, they have issues. And I'm like, oh my God, I think I know what I'm doing, and I'm pretty good. I'm trained up pretty good, but this is a new
That's
situation.
a great wealth of knowledge. I mean, the history here, yoga, what a deep, broad pool of knowledge that is. That's a lifetime of
and
study.
I barely scraped the surface of that with my training after a year. I had to take instruction for over a year and 200 hours, and had to take an exam and, keep up on all of it.
You still can't do the damn crow.
How did you know?
I mean, I can't. I've never been able to do it, but you can't do the crow either.
I'm a little bottom heavy. Yeah. As an aside, it was an interesting contrast. I was in training with a woman who was pregnant at the time, and I wasn't. She was able to do the splits. I cannot do the splits. And it was pointed out during our training, and it was like, okay, here's a hands-on example of what is happening in your body, and not to judge others based on what they can do, only think about what you can do. She had a ton of hormones in her body that allowed her to do the splits because she was pregnant. And I, on the other hand, could do a headstand and a handstand where she could not. So I was adept in a different way. I had muscle strength where I didn't have flexibility. She had flexibility where she didn't have muscle strength. So that was an aha moment.
So a pregnant woman is like, they have like superpowers.
Basically, yeah. They basically
super
do.
flexibility.
Super flexibility.
Well, they got to be able to expand or
exactly
let the world out.
Yeah, let the world out.
I would think though, in those yoga classes, if anybody gives you shit about, hey, you can't do that. Come on, let's go do 200 meters in the pool.
Well, and then there's that too.
You can throw that at them.
Yeah, but everybody's got that. Like, oh, you would do that. You shoot a gun. Yeah, I can do that. You always got somebody who could do something better than you. At the end of the day. But I think too is like the process of learning something new is very humbling in a lot of ways. So with that being said, what's on the horizon for you? What do you want to learn that's new?
My ultimate goal is, like I said, is to start an actual physical school.
Yeah.
So I mean, I love to teach. That's why I went to grad school to teach, and that's why. And what's on the horizon? Well, I mean, managing and running. I want to train instructors. I want to market workshops of various kinds. I want to, kind of centralize it. Like I said, things like clay, pottery, glass. So one of the things I did for the government actually was train trainers. Like, here's the content matter expert. So you train them how to present material. Not everybody is a teacher. That is a biggie. Just because you're good at something, that does not mean that you some people, in fact, a good teacher is probably more rare than a bad one. It's usually if you're bad at something, you already know it. You don't want to do it anyway, thankfully.
Kind of like those mechanics who are putting the wheels on
the airplanes.
United
airplanes. Oh my God.
Should have brought that one up, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, not once, but twice this year.
I know it's been rough year for
going for the trifecta. We hope not.
Yeah.
But that's great. That's your next goal. Where are people going to find you if somebody contacts us or wants to take one of your classes?
Sure. Well, my site is Hammered Heart Forge. HammeredHeartForge.com, and there's a workshop calendar on there. I've got workshops scheduled all the way to September.
Cool. Excellent.
And there's 4 different ones, and the calendar takes you through the registration process. And there's another instruction tab that's like a full description of what each workshop is and required, and what things to think about, and it's a dirty, gritty environment, dress appropriately, all those things. So
that'll be fun.
Don't wear white.
Oh, it is way fun, and it's not. Modern modern folks do not often encounter that type of environment and get to do those types of things. And it's absolutely, well, of course I'm biased, but I mean, the feedback I get from, and I must say I'm a pretty good instructor. I make it fun. You've done something, you do it, I don't do it.
Mhm.
I just kind of facilitate stuff. That's all. You do the work.
Right.
And,
Right.
but just making it, I like the science behind it. I like to teach you why this is like when we take hot steel and we put it in water oil, it gets hard. Why does that happen? Right. So,
Right. Okay.
so I do draw little cartoons on the table to teach that part.
Awesome.
Right. Right. Okay.
I bet your classes are a smashing hit.
Dad joke of the night.
So, and if somebody wants to commission you, do they go through your website as well?
Absolutely. Just get in touch.
All right, folks, we will definitely have all that in our show notes as well. But it's Hammer Heart Forge.
Hammered Heart Forge. Yes.
Hammered
Heart
Heart
Forge.
Mhm.
Michael, thank you today
Yes,
for
Thank you.
yeah.
This has
joining
been
us.
an interesting conversation. Great questions. I mean, honestly, some of the stuff I don't think about, but thank you for the opportunity.
I hope
Yeah,
your
you're
tooth is
most
doing
welcome.
better from the last time. I hope your tooth is doing better from the
Oh,
last
for my
time.
dental surgery?
That's it.
Ugh.
He forgot. Michael was actually supposed to be a guest on the show before. And he's like, hey, I had dental surgery.
You got the happy
yesterday.
juice. You got the happy juice.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I do
Yeah.
not envy you on that one.
Yeah. If given a choice between emergency dental surgery and being here, I would have picked here, believe me.
Oh,
I
If it were-
bet.
if it
I
was an
bet.
option.
I'm glad he said
yeah,
that.
me too. Me too.
Well, we appreciate you being our guest on the show today. We will add all of your information, contact information in the show notes at toastingthebusiness.com, folks. If you want to find us, if you want to find out how we found Michael, and you want to know who our sponsor is, it's getperspective.com. That'll be in the show notes. There's even a discount code in there.
For our listeners,
I got news for you. It's hot as out
Yeah.
there. So
devil's armpit. That's
stay
what
cool.
I termed it
Right?
this week. Yeah, hotter than devil's armpit this week.
Stay cool. Do I get
Yep.
to see you next week?
You will see me next week. Yes.
Awesome. I get to have Lynn in the studio next week, and hopefully you'll be listening as well. Folks, thank you. Take it easy.
And we're off the air. Whee!
Oh, how fun.
Oh, my ears. Ooh.